Mick Gray chats with Chuck Prophet, December 12th, 2024.
Yeah. How are you?
Not so bad. Enjoying this crazy mix you got going here.
Did you like that? Because I want to go through it. You know,
I like most of it.
I want to go through it song by song just to see a little remembrance, because it was kind of a "This Is Your Life" Chuck Prophet there. Right there, we had the Reuben News. Do you remember? Co-written with Tommy Dunbar, right?
That's absolutely correct. Yeah, Tommy and I wrote that song.
Produced
in his basement in Sacramento.
What a guy! Tommy Dunbar is something else.
Absolutely, my teacher, my mentor, my hero.
Do you
as
remember,
they say, bona fide.
Do you remember when you first saw them?
Yeah, they played my high school.
Really?
Yeah, they played my high school. That may have been the first time I saw them, but I saw them a lot. You know.
What high school? What high school was that?
I went to Monte Vista High School in Danville, and they played there. You know, I had my driver's license. I was 16, so I used to see them all the time. I was in a little garage band, and we opened for them a bunch, and they were really heroes of mine in many ways. I mean, I think I took them for granted. You know, it would be pretty unusual today to see a band that could do, you know, the Beach Boys and the Jackson 5 in the sense that they were such a tight band and a tight four-part singing group.
Yeah.
I just, you know, there's nothing like them. And, you know, I thought when I got out into the real world, there would be more bands like that, you know, even better. But it turns out, no, you know.
Yeah.
And
a total anomaly. They've been together for over 40 years, you know, and just
continue. Yeah, they were, you know, they introduced me to so much music, you know, the spaghetti western music,
yeah.
You know, like I say, the Jackson 5.
Doing doo-wop, they were doing
a lot of that kind of doo-wop stuff, and even that 40s singing, you know, music. They had such a wide breadth of stuff, and they were funny. You know, they were a band in the sense that when you saw them up on stage, they had their inside jokes. It was like the Beatles or something. You know, they were very funny, and as John Reuben said, you know, we took the music seriously, but we never took ourselves seriously.
Yeah.
And that was a really they had a great quality like that. And, you know, you would see people at the shows, like they'd play every week, you know. And you'd see the same people at the shows.
Yeah.
Same girls, you know. And, yeah, so anyway, I kept up with those guys. And eventually Tommy and I, there's a lot of connections, but eventually, you know, we made a date to write together, and he came down from Sacramento to my little shoebox office in the city here, and we wrote a couple songs that first day, and then we continued to spend probably a year, you know, going back and forth. He would come here, and I would take the Amtrak up to Sacramento, and we always found something to write about. And yeah, that song "Do You Remember" is a really kind of almost an autobiographical tale of the band, you know.
Yeah, that record, that's their latest, From Home, and it is a good record, man. Really good. Everything about it. So good. Before that, Warren Zevon, Life Will Kill You. The song, For My Next Trick, I'll Need a Volunteer. You're on guitar.
Yeah, what that song has the line, I can saw a woman in two, but you won't want to look in the box when I'm through.
What a line! That's a classic right there, man.
I worked with two producers, Paul Coldery and Sean Slade. They're probably most well known for having produced "Creep" for Radiohead.
Oh yeah.
They were Boston guys. They made a bunch of records. You know, they produced a bunch of records from Dinosaur Jr. and you know, I don't know, Lemonhead, all kinds of '90s. Stuff that came out of Boston, maybe the Pixies or that kind of stuff, you know,
wow.
throwing muses. I'm not quite sure, but we had talked about making a record together in the '90s, and it didn't really pan out. And later they were approached to produce this Warren Zevon record, And so they called me, as well as Winston Watson, who played drums in my band and also had played with Bob Dylan and a number of Alice Cooper and a number of people. And so we went out to Boston and worked on this Warren Zevon record. And it was, I consider it a paid internship, really, because I learned so much just watching him.
Gosh.
But, he was a tough customer, let me tell you.
Yeah, I bet. Too much. Before that, we had Alejandro Escovedo, your good pal, who you co-wrote this whole record, Real Animal, with him.
That's right.
And that is a phenomenal record. What can you say about Mr. Escovedo?
Well, first time I saw Alejandro was probably with Rank and File, who, made country music safe for punk rockers.
Sure did.
Not really given as much credit, I think, as they deserve, but that's the way it goes, And Alejandro and I knew each other throughout the years. I was in Green on Red. Green on Red played with the True Believers, and we were playing some shows together, maybe in 2007 or somewhere in there. We were playing some shows together, and he mentioned that he wanted to write a record, and some of the things that he wanted to touch on, and did I think I would be into doing that with him? And I said, well, we can try, So yeah, that project, we spent a good year going back and forth. He had a place in Wimberley, Texas, in the hill country, about 45 minutes outside of Austin, and he would come here to San Francisco, and we would hang out in my office, and we always got something when we were together. We generally never run out of things to talk about, and that generally leads to a song. And if that didn't work out, then Alejandro would just get the vaporizer out, and we'd lie on the carpet and listen to Mott the Hoople.
Yeah, Mott the Hoople fan from way back, huh?
Mott the Hoople were pretty big for me in my pre-punk years, yeah.
Yeah, heck yeah, man. Definitely, man. Before that, a young lady by the name of Stephanie Finch.
Yeah, that's my wife, Stephanie, and she made a fantastic solo record called Stephanie Finch and the Company Men, Cry Tomorrow, and it features me on guitar. Rusty Miller is playing bass and keyboards, and Kelly Stoltz is the drummer. So I consider that band sort of like the Beatles, in the sense that each person in that band could make a solo record, and it would be credible.
Yeah, I saw that band at Slim's one night.
Is that right?
Yeah, I saw you guys. That was a
fantastic
show. Fantastic show.
So we're trying to get Stephanie to do a Company Men reunion this summer at the Summertime Thing, at our Summertime Thing festival.
Too cool.
Up north. So, fingers crossed.
Yeah, man. I'd love to see that again, man. And then Green on Red, Sun Goes Down, we heard. How did you originally meet Dan and the guys? How did you originally get involved in them?
Well,
they were already going a little bit before you got in, right?
Yeah, they were a LA band. They're originally from Tucson. They were an LA band, and they were part of what people consider the Paisley Underground, with the Dream Syndicate and the Bangles and the 3 O'Clock and the Long Riders, Leaving Trains, Rain Parade, depending on how deep you want to go. And,
great bands.
And I went to, I was going to San Francisco State, and I was working at the radio station. Well, I wasn't really working there, but I was a volunteer. And their record came in, and I was pretty enamored with it, and I went to see them play, and then my band opened for them, and we just kind of hit it off, Later, I went down to L.A. for some reason or another, and I called them up to get on the guest list, and they said, well, why don't you just bring a guitar? And so I ended up playing with them, and they were going on tour like a week later to Sweden or something, and they said, do you want to go? And I said, sure, and that led to like a 10-year sentence.
Yeah, a lot of traveling, a lot of touring with that band, right?
Yeah, we mowed through some record deals, probably made 10 records together. That track's from the tail end of.
Oh, you locked up. Why'd you lock up?
Al Cooper producing.
Yeah, I was gonna say Al Cooper produced that, man. What was he like to work with?
He's pretty cool, actually. He just kind of joined the band in many ways. He would play keyboards, and we tracked at the Sound Emporium in Nashville, and we called a lot of people out of the Union book. We didn't really know it was just sort of Dan Stewart and I, and so we called in some drummers and bass players from the Union book, guys that may have played on Dolly Parton records earlier that day or something, and so we had a pretty.
Where was it recorded?
A Nashville experience. In Nashville.
Yeah. Isn't Tony Joe White on harmonica on that record?
Yeah, Tony Joe White was a friend of Al Cooper's, and Al said, well, we could call him down here, and we said, well, that'd be great, and that was the way it went.
So cool.
That was the way it went.
Sounds fun.
Green on Red, we would typically pick a different city to make a record. That was something that we did, and then we would end up kind of immersing ourselves in whatever was happening.
That would inspire you for a sound. What city you were in, sort of?
Yeah, I mean, it would just inspire us where we went drinking,
Exactly.
It's kind of what we did.
And then we started with Kim Carnes doing one of your songs, Just to See You Smile.
Yeah, that caught me by surprise, yeah. I wrote that song. I was staying at a friend of mine's, Angela Petraglia, songwriter, producer, and in Nashville, and we were working together, and his answer. We were in the kitchen or something, and his answering machine went off, and there was a voice in there that said, "Hey, Angelo, how come you never call me?" And I was sitting there drinking coffee. I said, "What? That sounds like Kim Carnes, He goes, actually, that is Kim Carnes. And I said, wow, I'm such a Kim Carnes fan, He goes, well, I'm sure she'd love to get together and write a song. And so she came over.
Wow.
And we wrote that song. I didn't really remember writing it. We wrote it, and then everybody went their separate ways. And then I came across a work tape. And I thought, oh, this song would be pretty good, but I just thought it needed I thought it was like a first draft in terms of the words, So I rewrote the words I kind of personalized it, And I recorded it on my record, an album called Age of Miracles. And then out of nowhere, I was overseas, and somebody said, hey, did you know that Kim Carnes recorded your song? And I listened to it. It just had all these other words. I go, oh, this is the version that we wrote. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it's kind of interesting.
So your version on your record has different lyrics to it.
Yeah, a good deal of the verses, but same chorus.
Yeah.
Same idea.
Yeah. Very cool.
But I was confused. I didn't know. Nobody told me that she had cut it or anything.
Out of the blue, you find out. Oh,
yeah. But of course, I was thrilled to hear her sing. A song we wrote was a total. I'd say the thing I really enjoyed about Kim, every time when we worked on the song and I would pitch a line, I walk 20 blocks to your favorite pig. Whenever I would sing, she would sing back like me. And I didn't know if she was being cute or but that's how she sings,
Yeah.
She has as much of that sort of Lou Reed, Dylan damage in her cadence,
Yeah.
And so we're kindred spirits in a lot of ways.
That is. You connected. That was a good connection. I'm surprised you didn't do more songs together.
I would have liked to have done more. I don't know what became of all that.
Yeah. Wow. Well, so that was our opening set. Welcome, everybody. We're talking to Mr. Chuck Prophet here tonight, having a blast at KMiC Radio. This is what we do here. Let's go way back. Let's go back to when you were a kid. Because it's interesting to us. It's interesting. When you were a kid, what was that first music that you can remember that when you went, oh, whoa, it inspired you, that made you want to get more, either listen to more music or get into music as a playing?
It's just for me, it was the radio in the car, and I grew up in Southern California,
Good radio.
So, KHJ, KEZY on the AM dial, and then there was all those great FM stations. And then, we also lived in Cleveland when I was about 6, 7 years old, So, yeah, it was definitely the radio, and that was the first thing, that was what hit me. And then later, guitar, I grew up in Orange County, and the way I describe it to people is that it was the kind of place that if you shook a tree, like 5 guitar players would fall out. So there was music everywhere, and I definitely was into playing guitar. My older sister brought a guitar into the house, I think from CYO camp or something.
There you go.
And yeah, and I wanted it, and I was just a sponge, and I started playing songs and Neil Young songs and whatever I could. I had a kind of an aptitude for lead guitar, and I got in bands from the time I was like 12 years old.
Wow.
Neighborhood bands and garage bands, whatever. And then when my family moved up here to Northern California, I really wanted to be in a band, and I just saw some of it was like I had my kite in the air and the wind changed direction, and so I saw some early punk rock shows. I saw Black Flag at Barrington Hall, before Henry was in the band. I saw, the Flamin' Groovies and Wall of Voodoo at the Temple Beautiful, and I saw the Dead Kennedys at the Mabuhay and stuff, like when I was 16, and I saw all those Berserkly bands, the Reuvenues, Greg Ken Band, and of course Jonathan Richman always loomed large over everybody. And so, yeah, and I ended up in a band with these older guys, and one of the things we did was we played a lot of frat parties around the UC Berkeley campus, and we would play a lot of like 60s garage rock standards, like Yardbirds and the Animals and Them, Gloria, of course, and things like that, and that really was the foundation for for me in terms of playing guitar, or how I understood that songs worked. And then later, I would write songs and just kind of using that framework and then kind of insert my own thing into the frame. And I still hear it when you play all that stuff,
Yeah. So your family moved to San Francisco around mid-70s, something like that?
It was like probably about 79 or 80. Yeah, we moved to the East Bay. My father worked for Avery Label, and he was in sales and marketing, and they gave him the Bay Area territory, and so yeah, it was great timing.
Perfect timing for music.
Yeah, I'd drive my mom's car in to Rather Rip Records, and and that was where I was exposed to so many things. And then I met the Green on Red guys, and we immediately went overseas and just toured like crazy, and we played in London, and all the papers came out. We played a gig with the Jesus and Mary chain.
Oh my God!
I think it was their first London gig, and it was our first London gig, and all the papers were there, and the flash bulbs were going off, and we ended up in the papers. Then we ended up with a major label deal, and burned through a couple of those. Then we got another major label deal and burned through that, and eventually just kind of ran out of steam.
Yeah, but it was a good starting place, and you cut your teeth there, man.
Yeah, well, we did all those things. We did all the things that bands go through. We lost members. We just burned through it.
Now, flash forward to you just got home from a European tour.
Yeah, that's right.
How many shows did you do over there?
I think it was about 28 shows in 30 days.
Wow. It must have taken you, what, did it take you a week to recuperate when you got home?
I'm still not recuperated. I'm still waking up at 2 or 3 in the morning. But I don't mind. I kind of like it.
That's insane, though. That's a lot of traveling.
Yeah, it's pretty typical. I mean, we used to do, Stephanie and I in the early days, we would do 10 weeks with no days off.
Dang. That's touring, man. That's the real deal.
I guess so.
But from everything I heard and from Facebook posts and stuff, you guys really had a successful tour there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the internet kind of caught up to what we're doing.
Seems like it.
Yeah.
This new band, these guys from Salinas, California, Kinsabe, you call them cumbia shoes when they're with you. They're fabulous.
Yeah.
And then you add James DePrado in with it,
That's right.
And the combination is it's just some kind of perfect fit.
Well, I mean, how far do you want to go back? I became during the lockdown, and then later when I was diagnosed with stage 4 lymphoma, I spent a lot of time listening. I have a pretty good appetite for music, but this was different. I didn't have any gigs. I wasn't getting ready to go in the studio. I, really had the time. I was afforded the time to do a lot of listening, and I listened to a lot of cumbia music. And eventually I met these guys, Key and Save, a band of brothers from Salinas, California. They're on the Central Coast. And they I was sort of enamored with them. I would go see them, and they said, hey, I asked them a lot of questions. When you play this music, how do you, and they said, well, we've got a house in the woods in Salinas. If you want to come down there and jam with us, Chuck, come on down. You can turn up as loud as you want, And so I took them up on it. And we ended up playing a couple gigs together. We played in Big Sur at the Mother Hips Festival, and I don't know, I just tapped into something that I thought was fresh and exciting, and it's more dancey, the music, and that was a new thing. So I just kind of went with it. I don't know, it probably took a couple of years, but
yeah, it's interesting that you were getting into that music and then you stumble upon this band.
Well, I definitely had my antenna up. I also stumbled across another band called Valley Wolf out of Modesto, and after I got my diagnosis, I went to Texas to play a couple of gigs, and then I drove back from Texas. I drove the van back myself, and the timing worked that I came through Modesto on a Sunday, and these guys were playing like in a gravel parking lot at a brewery.
Wow.
Valley Wolf, and I was really, really into them. They play cumbia music as well. They're heavily under the influence of Chicano Batman and some of these bands that also sort of get into that mellow kind of soul music.
Kind of funky too, yeah.
Yeah, and so yeah, a lot went into what I'm doing. A lot of listening, a lot of hanging.
Yeah. But don't you just love the way life is, where you're just following a groove and it comes about.
Yeah, I feel very lucky in that respect that something came along and captured my imagination when I needed it.
Yeah.
I mean, I made a lot of records, and the trick is to find new ways to do it, or at least trick yourself into new ways so that I can remain excited about it.
Exactly. Yeah, staying in the same groove all the time can.
I mean, when I write with somebody like Tommy Dunbar, I'm excited because I'm writing with one of my heroes, and and I'm always learning from Tommy. So I was lucky to meet these guys.
Heck yeah, man. I think I talked to you a little bit about it at one point, but when I heard you were working with Kinsabe, the first thing I thought of was Doug Somm moving to Prunedale to play with Louie and the Lovers.
Yeah, well, Louie Ortega's still out there.
I understand he's going to be opening on the 28th.
Yeah, that's right. And, Louie, Doug Somm and Louie had a relationship that may have started in 1970,
but it
went through the 90s and beyond to the end of Doug Somm's life. And I think Louie Ortega, remained Doug Somm's sort of musical director in the fabulous in the Texas Tornadoes.
Yeah.
Not the Fabulous Thunderbirds, but the Texas Tornadoes. Yeah.
Well, when I saw that Louie was going to be opening your show on 28th, I was like, wow. Because I've been trying to get in touch with him. I'd love to interview him.
Yeah, well, there's a lot there. Yeah.
There's a lot there, yeah. Very interesting fellow.
And the Louie and the Lovers, what an incredible band! Sort of like the Mexican American Creedence Clearwater.
Completely, most people kind of just totally overlooked it. It was a record that it could have been huge. Really, it had you're right, Hispanic CCR almost. Yeah.
Yeah, I got a nice copy of it.
Yeah, it's freaking
Maybe
great
here
stuff.
somewhere.
Well, I bought I think a Bear Family release. They put it out with a whole bunch of extras to unreleased Louie and the Lovers stuff, like almost a whole extra album stuff.
Yeah, Bear Family's good at that stuff.
Ooh, yeah, they are good, man. If nobody has seen the KEXP performance that just got put up, Chuck and the band did, you got to see it. It's fantastic. But I heard you talking about that band, and I went and checked them out. That is something pretty special right there. Sonido Gallo Negro. The song's called Inca de Delica.
I have history with these guys.
Really?
They have an alter ego band called the Twin Tones, who are kind of a surf band in Mexico City.
Wow.
And I went down to Mexico City and played. I did a tour with them. We played in Monterey. We played in Mexico. We played a place in Mexico City they backed me.
Wow.
From songs from my catalog, and it was a trip, man. I mean, I don't think we went on until 4 a.m. The power went off like 8 times.
Was that while you were making Let Freedom Ring down there, or?
No, I made Let Freedom Ring in 2008 or so. This was like 2014 or so.
Wow.
It was an introduction through Peter Buck, and they reached out to me and they said, would you be willing to do that? And at the time, I needed a root canal.
Oh.
And it was really expensive.
Cheap down there, right?
And I said, well, they said, we can't really pay you much. I said, well, do you think, you could find me a dentist? And so they found me a dentist. Yeah.
That's fantastic. What a deal, man. A good dentist. Yeah. That's a good price. And I'll come down and do it.
And it was, I got the surgery, and it was like, literally, it was in somebody's house.
Oh my God. Seriously.
Yeah.
Did you feel uncomfortable when you saw we were in a house?
Well, it was in somebody's house, and the surgeon didn't really speak any English. And I did get a little, sort of nervous about it. And then he gave me the phone, and it was his daughter. And she said, I want you to know my father's a very educated man. He's an excellent surgeon. He's, I said, okay, that sounds good.
That's cool. Yeah, because I'm a chicken shit when it comes to a dentist.
Then we sort of, I just remember he was like, oh, you play guitar? I said, yeah. He goes, Eric Clapton. I said, yeah. Something like that.
So cool. What a story.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. But you met those guys. See, you didn't say that on KEXP that you knew them.
Yeah, I met those guys down in Baja through a festival that Peter Buck throws, and they saw me playing with a pickup band. And they saw kind of how I operated, and they invited me down, and we played several gigs in Mexico together.
Wow, pretty cool, man.
Yeah, you can see there's something on YouTube, like we're playing in the middle of the desert somewhere near the Texas border. It's the dead of summer, and it's like Iraq. It's so dusty and hot. But you can see there's a clip of us doing my song Florida Econoline, and they've got the mariachi trumpets and everything.
Whoa! I gotta look for that.
And it's sort of a bad phone recording, but you can see it, and just a sea of black hair, of young people, just crazy.
Wow, that's crazy. Great story, man. Great story. That's what we live here at KMiC for, is those kind of stories, man. Dental stories are the best, man. Seeing that we're in Mexico, let's talk about Let Freedom Ring, because you went down and made that you said 2008, right? Or something.
Yeah.
Now, how did that come about?
Well, I was writing some songs that were, I wrote them in 2008, I believe. I had the window open, and the ideas just kind of blew in. And that was the year that a lot of people, it was really the year that the bottom fell out of the wet sack of the American economy. And it was what I call political songs for non-political people.
There you go. Yeah.
And I was thinking about where to record the songs when I got a call from an old friend of mine, and he had relocated to Mexico City, and he was looking for some songs for a project. And I'm like, what are you doing in Mexico City? He goes, oh man, it's just, I'm working on records down here. He said, it's like the 60s down here, you know?
Wow.
And it was really when the internet kind of caught up to Mexico, in the sense that people could reach out and find the culture they identified with. So, you know, I went down there, and there would be gangs of kids that all looked like they should be in the Strokes. Other gangs of kids that looked like they should be in the Smiths.
Interesting.
You know? So I flew down there, and we spent 2 or 3 days looking for a studio. We found this. We were getting pretty discouraged, and eventually somebody said, "Well, you might want to check this place out. Here's the address." And we drove a couple hours somewhere and went into the studio, and I couldn't believe it. I was looking at a studio. As soon as we walked in there, I looked around at the control room and the equipment, and I was like, we are looking at a state-of-the-art studio for, at one time, I'm thinking maybe like 1959.
Totally analog, totally.
Yeah.
But it was. Did it look like it was in good shape, or?
Yeah. The guy that ran the studio, he maintained it well, and so he gave me his business card, and then I went back to the States, and I put a little band together, and we flew down to Mexico City, and my friend Jason engineered, and I talked everybody into going with me. I made these elaborate IOUs, and I actually had done a session with Boom Carter. Now, Boom Carter is probably most well known for having played the drums on the song "Born to Run."
Oh my God! Huh? He was only on that song?
Yeah. Huh. So he was in the E Street Band. He played on "Born to Run," and then he and David Sanchez left the group.
Oh wow!
Famously.
Yeah.
And so he was playing, and we did a session together, and he was phenomenal, you know.
That's a pretty great claim to fame, because the drums of Born to Run are powerful, man.
Yeah, and so he was really great, and I put this band together, and we went down to Mexico City and made this record called "Let Freedom Ring." It came out in 2009, I believe.
It's a pretty cool record. I want to.
Greg Leese produced it, and
Greg Leese,
and it coincided with the swine flu epidemic. Within 3 days of us arriving, we started hearing about this swine flu thing on CNN and everything, and we didn't know if they'd let us back in the country, you know?
Oh, yeah.
It was a little bit stressful.
Yeah, but the sound of that record is unique, and it's very powerful. Like you say, kind of political, but really some hot stuff. I want to hear a song off.
I'm not a political person in the sense that the songs were mostly just kind of photographs of people in very anxious times.
Snapshots of a time. That album could be called just a snapshot of a time period of American. Is there a song on there that you would like to hear off that record?
I think the Sonny Liston is the first song, and it's completely. Yeah. What makes it interesting to me is that it's a completely live performance. I don't even think we overdubbed the tambourine. I don't think we overdubbed anything.
Whoa.
Live vocal, 3 guitars playing together at the same time. Tom Ayers.
Tom Ayers.
Yeah.
That guy. I saw him with Persephone's Bees.
Yeah, that's right.
That guy was a badass guitarist.
Yeah, he's one of those guys, sort of like James Honeymoon Scott. Like he has such a palette of different colors.
Yeah.
So he's playing guitar. Greg Leese is playing 6-string baritone guitar, and I'm playing guitar and singing live. Rusty Miller on bass and Boom Carter on drums, and that's what you hear.
Man, now this is your life, Chuck Prophet. Doesn't it feel like we're just doing that here? But I mean, moments, really high peak moments. This song, I remember KMiC Radio
Oh,
went crazy over Summertime Thing. That was pretty big time for you, right? That was a pretty big song.
well, yeah, I learned that if you have a song on the radio, it can really change things for you.
Yeah. And did
You
that
know?
actually, I can't remember, did it actually come out in the summer?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, perfect timing
Summer
too,
of
right?
summer of 2002. It was all over the country, and we went out and did a national tour with Lucinda Williams, and played a lot of outdoor sheds, and it was a pretty great time.
Yeah, that's with the existing Mission Express complete band at that point.
Well, it was with me and Stephanie Finch, and that's about it. Max Butler may have been in the band back then, Winston Watson, Rob Douglas, but not the current lineup.
When did you and James DePrato hook up?
I think that was behind the Soap and Water record. I'm guessing 2007 or something. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a gift the day that he walked in, man.
Oh my God, the way you guys are like connected at guitar strings. The way you can weave.
Well, he can weave with he can weave with a lot of people. I mean, he's a very sensitive player. He does a lot of sessions.
Yeah.
He's just an in tune, in time guy who knows how to play something cool, but not in a kind of look at me way. He really has a gift. He has a real gift for guitar.
Yeah, I keep picking up records just all of a sudden going, what? Produced by James DePrato guitar? Whoa, just out of the blue, I find him on records a lot. He's definitely a busy, in-demand guy. Look, yeah. You guys are lucky. Now, what is the chemistry and forward thinking of, I don't know if you want to talk about it or not, but it's like when you found the new band for this record, did you just sit down with Mission Express and say, hey, I'm going to try this, play with this, and we'll do something else soon? Or
well, we were always playing and always working, so I don't think anybody was surprised. I mean, for me, I gotta find something fresh to tap into. Right, otherwise, there's no point in making and grinding out records. So I think people were probably happy that I was actively writing and into it. And James became a big part of that, and so did Vicente Rodriguez from the Mission Express. So we got together with Key and Sabe and kind of made a blended family. I don't know if they shared my enthusiasm, but they were cool about
it. It's like you say, you can't do this if there isn't that inspirational moment. If you don't get the spark that's going to happen at that moment. And if you saw the spark over there, they understand most likely, this is just me thinking, that Chuck saw the spark, he took it. Excellent. I'm glad he went for that. That's what you think, you hope for.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, it's one thing to have an idea. What's ideas are nothing really.
Right.
But it's another thing to actually do it.
Yeah.
Execute the idea, I guess.
Here's a little obscurity. Probably most people don't even know about because it's a very hard to get record. Dream Waylon's Dreams.
Oh.
Was a tribute to Waylon Jennings. It covers a complete album of his. It was put out, and if you look for it, it's very hard to find and very high priced these days. What was the story behind that record?
Well, I was in the studio, and we got locked out, and there were some musicians in there, and I started talking about this Waylon Jennings record called Dreaming My Dreams. And I said, yeah, I know that record so well, I could probably do the whole thing from memory. And so we kind of recorded the record song by song, And if I couldn't remember it, then we'd pull the lyrics down off the internet. And it was kind of an art project, you know, and it was done over a weekend. And it's pretty bad.
You don't think it's a good record?
It's pretty bad, but it's art, you know.
And speaking of art, what I was reading about it also was the album cover of it supposedly was printed really uniquely, old school printing.
Yeah, Bruce Leitcher of I forget the name of his company. He did it on a hand press, you know, state of the art technology for 1928 or whatever. Yeah, and
Wow.
that was the original record, and then I believe it was released in England just as a traditional CD.
Yeah.
Jewel box or whatever they call it.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, because you don't.
But it's not available. It's not the record's not available. It's fairly hard to find. It should be pretty hard to find.
And you don't think much of it, so it probably won't be re-released anytime soon or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean it was an art project, but you know.
Okay, here's another art project for you. 2011, Spanish Bombs. You and Chris Van Snyderen go out on the road. Where was it recorded? It was recorded live. You record the complete Clash London Calling and put it on DVD, I think.
Bilbao, which is in Basque Country. It's not Spain.
Oh.
They're quick to point that out.
Ah.
Yeah, I mean, there was a festival in Spain called Houston Party, I believe, and it was a tradition of theirs to have an artist do another artist record or something. I don't know, like the Pixies had done something with the Teenage Fan Club, or I don't recall. There had been a tradition, and they asked me if there was anything I wanted to do, and I said, well, I'd like to do London Calling, but only if I can get Chris Van Snyderen to do it. And Chris and I had history with each other, and some of it was good. It wasn't all good.
Kind of your neighbor, right? He's kind of
he
lives right up there.
And and I worked on him, and he eventually agreed to do it. And we found a rhythm section, a group called The Park. I'm not sure where they were from, somewhere in the Bay Area. And we played all of London Calling, which is a double album, top to bottom. And I mean, we didn't do the ska. We kind of changed the groove under some of the song's feet, but it was great having a different singer, Chris Van Snyderen. He could really do the Mick Jones parts. And,
very cool, yeah. It's a great DVD. I love it.
Yeah, so we did it originally for the festival, but then it went over so well, we ended up doing like a 12-day tour of Spain. And on the last date, Spanish television recorded it.
Wow.
And that is available as a DVD.
It's very cool. It's very cool. The Clash are very important to you, and I can really understand it. Because if you listen to an album like London Calling, or even more so, Sandinista, if you listen to Sandinista, where 3 albums set and every song is grabbing a different genre and trying and experimenting in different... Wow. Would you like to do an album like Sandinista someday?
That's a lot. That's a spicy meatball right there.
That's a big one. But I mean, some people were talking in the chat about cumbia in general, and you really do hear in cumbia the kind of the dub-wise feel of what happens in Jamaican music too, in reggae music. It's originally obviously from, I would say, from
Africa.
Yeah. And from Africa, South American countries, and that's how reggae came together through all that, right? Kind of the mixture, maybe a couple continents mixed together, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that we play cumbia correctly, but I don't really know that I care,
Yeah. It's you got influenced by a sound and you made something your own.
And that's where the Clash come in, I mean, punk rock came along and it made it safe for anybody to pick up an instrument and start a band. But it was really the Clash that opened the doors in terms of what you could do once you started that band. And they had a fearless approach, just the album London Calling. It's got rockabilly, it's got folk music, it's got kind of jazzy stuff, definitely some glam rock. You know, it's got so much music there that they were never afraid to
That's amazing.
dip their bucket down into the well and pull up whatever they could, and the way they played reggae may not have been as correct as you know, to purist weirdos, but it always worked for me.
Oh,
you know?
God, yeah.
So I look to them. I look to the Clash as teachers, really.
Yeah, they really taught all of us, like opened our minds to a lot of stuff, man. When we first heard those records, I don't know. I guess I was listening to a little bit of reggae, but I mean, that opened me up to a lot of reggae. And then they cover like Mose Allison, you know, and you go, oh, what is this? And then I got into Mose Allison. There's nothing like those kind of bands that send you on another route, moving you in a new direction.
Well, that's, you know, I was into the Clash, and the Clash, you know, talked about Joe Ely, and Joe Ely talked about Townes Van Zandt, and, you know, and Townes Van Zandt, you know, was pulling from, you know, whatever. And so you look backwards through the looking glass, and you know, you may be listening to Ry Cooder and see a movie like Paris, Texas, and someone says, "Oh, Wim Wenders, he's a German filmmaker," and you go back into you know, through the German expressionists, you know, and so that's kind of what we do. And rock and roll is full of we're all self-educated.
Yeah.
And you know, that's how we learn from the records, and
it's pretty special, man. Pretty special with the way that happens, man. Something that you did in I guess it was around 2012 that I was bummed that I missed was your Temple Beautiful bus tour.
Oh, well,
I mean, here I was living in San Jose, and I heard about it, and I just didn't get up there to do it, and I was bummed I didn't. Now, give us a little backstory about Temple Beautiful, and well, you already mentioned it earlier, but
well, Temple Beautiful was an album that I wrote entirely with Kurt Lipschutz, whose pen name is Clip Schutz, and it's an album inspired by, written about San Francisco, the people, the place, the history, just the mythology that flows through all of us here. Probably a little bit inspired by Lou Reed's New York album.
Oh, yeah.
And when we finished that record, we really felt we had something, and we wanted to do a record release party. But, you know, record release parties are like marriages. You know, you can't really, you know, expect everybody to come and have a church wedding on your third wedding, you know, and or expect everybody to give you these gifts. So we were trying to get something back, and we decided that we would invite people on a bus tour, because you can get those buses. You can rent them, and so we went on a tour of the hidden San Francisco. You know,
was that multiple? Did you do this just once, or did
just once?
Just once. So
you know, it's like we drove past the liquor store. We said this is where Janis Joplin bought her first bottle of Southern Comfort, and she liked it so much she came back an hour later and wanted another bottle, and they wouldn't sell her one, so she, you know, squatted on the carpet and pissed and took a piss right there. And we just, I don't know, we just, you know, we just made things up.
But, everybody was drinking.
But we did go. You know, we did drive past the Willie Mays statue and pulled over at the ballpark, and then we sang a song about Willie Mays that's on the record. And we went. You know, and people had a ball. And then in the end, we ended up at a warehouse in the Mission, and we played a set of music, and we brought Roy Loney out, and we played Slow Death, and you know.
Sounds like it was a great night.
Yeah, it was a great night, yeah.
Maybe on an anniversary of the album, you can do it again at some time in the future.
Yeah. Okay.
When would be an anniversary of that?
Well, it would have been 2022. But there's always another one.
2022 would have been a bad year to do it. Yeah, it would have been a bad year to do it. Don't you think?
We can wait till the 25th anniversary or
there you go.
15th anniversary.
Just throwing the idea out there. And then I was along with Miss Terry Babender here, we were at the Temple Beautiful with strings at the Great American Music Hall, which was, I think, a very, very, very special evening.
I think so too. Yeah. Well, we filmed that. We made a live record, and that's available out there.
Yep, and it's everything about it's fantastic. You mentioned Roy Loney, who has passed. We've lost him, but he was there that night, and
he was wonderful. Yeah,
it was a great evening, man. I even got my wooden poster, the burnt wooden poster from it, hanging on my wall behind me.
Yeah.
Oh.
I've got a lot of those wooden posters somewhere.
They're pretty special, man. Yeah, we were talking about the. Do you think? I don't know. Did we even go into it at all about the way that cumbia seems to have a very dubwise feel to it? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think that the bass lines are very repetitive, and the guitar often plays the backbeat or the organ. So yeah, it's there's a rhythmic network to it, and it opens itself up for dub, which is a way of affecting the music so that it stays kind of dynamic and doesn't get static.
Exactly. It's the new record. It just has a sound to it that's great. After I saw you guys in Carmel that night, I went and saw Kinsave.
That was our first gig, probably.
Yeah, that's what you were saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I went and saw Kinsave about maybe a month later at Moe's Alley, and they really, of course, it was all the local gang was there. I mean, it was just like packed Moe's Alley for all their fans, and it was a fantastic evening itself, man. You found some great people to get inspired by there. I tell you that, man.
Yeah, I got real lucky. Wonderful guys.
Yep. If you don't mind, I would like to bring one of your biggest fans in. Maybe she might have a question, or maybe she just might want to say hi. You know Terry. She's usually at most of your shows, and she says hi. So let me bring Terry in. Come on in, Terry.
You gonna put her on the spot?
Yeah. Come on in. You got to unmute yourself, Terry. Come on in.
Hey.
There she is.
Hi, Terry.
Hi, Chuck. How are you?
Excellent.
I just wanted to bring you in and see. I mean, I don't know. Do you have a question, or if you don't, you could just say
Well,
hi.
I do have a question, but it's what I find the most amazing about your creative process is how much of your personal experience you put into your music. Like even when you speak, like you speak in metaphors and you have this stream of consciousness way that you walk in the world. And I just think that is the coolest thing. And I am your biggest fan. And when you pick up a guitar, it slays me, dude. That's all there is to it. It does. It just slays me. I told Stephanie, I always remember the night that I walked up to you and was going to speak to you, and I was with my husband, and he was standing behind me, and you and I were talking, and all of a sudden you looked at him and you said, are you her husband? And he said, yeah. And you said to him, oh, then you know about us. It was the most perfect moment, and I just love you. I will see you on the 28th, and you're like new, man, I know you were sick, and I know that must have been horrible, But what has come from you since then? Pure life-loving energy, and it's a beautiful thing. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I'm glad you said hi.
Yeah, I
That went
wouldn't
a
have.
lot better. That went a lot better than I thought it was going to go.
I haven't had a drink yet, Chuck. That's why.
me and Terry
Yeah.
are a concert going duo. We go together all the time. Our spouses don't like to go to concerts. So you were lucky you got to meet Keith that night, because he generally won't go to a
He
concert.
won't go.
And my wife doesn't go to shows, so we go together, and so we have a
And I
lot of
just
fun.
want you to know that I'm sitting up here on West Cliff Drive in a beautiful house with an ocean view.
Nice.
And I am living my best life because I'm looking at one of my heroes.
Oh.
Two of my heroes, actually. Mick, you're one of my heroes, too.
Oh, gosh. Well, we're going to see Chuck. Thank you, Terry. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
What she spotted on there a little bit that I'd like to kind of go in with you is your battle with cancer. How, and I on a spiritual basis, how do you think what you went through, was it about 2 years worth of dealing with that? How do you think that has changed you? How do you think that has altered your music and your life?
Well, it's probably made me a nicer person.
You think so? You'd be
Probably.
maybe more caring. You just care more about everything. Maybe.
Yeah, a little more empathy, and I just never really thought about mortality, to be honest.
Most of us don't.
And it's so far in the distance that you can't really see it, you know.
Yeah.
But now I see it. He's coming for me. And so, you know, I can see mortality getting a little closer every day. And so, yeah, it's changed the way I approach life.
It makes you live your life like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah.
Let's live it. It's a lesson that we all can learn from.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't have anything particularly, like any profound way of talking about it. I mean, I was lucky that I was diagnosed as early as I was. I mean, although with stage 4, they had excellent care, and the oncologist had a few different ways to treat it, and they chose Rituxan, immunotherapy, and a cocktail with chemo, and after 6 months, they knocked it back. You know, yeah. I'll live with it forever, but it's a good time to be alive. You know, there's a lot they can do.
Yeah, and I mean, you just feel, I can imagine you just feel like kind of a second chance, and you're still able to do all the things you want to do, and like you say, man, that is pretty profound to be able to say. You say, "Oh, I don't have anything profound." Well, what you just said was definitely profound. That now you feel different about life. Most people go through life. Think about what the world we live in today. They don't give a shit about anything.
Yeah, and I get tired. I get tired, but I can't really tell why, because there's also the age thing, and that's another thing that I've been in denial about. So I don't know.
Hey man, we all deal with it. I'm 65 now, man. I mean, we're just inching our way up, man. It's just like every day you go, hey, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna live this life. I'm gonna love what I got.
Well, you're inspiring.
Hey, you. You are inspiring too, man. Everybody here knows how long I've wanted to talk to you here. We've been trying to do this for probably 6 years or something like that, and you are a busy guy, and you've went through a lot, and that you are here, that you have found time to do this tonight.
Well, I contacted you,
Yeah. And I just appreciate it so much, because we are these people here that you see. These are real fans, man. I mean, they come
nice
out to
people.
see you.
They seem like nice people.
Love your music.
For a cult.
It is. It's the KMiC cult. Look, they're doing the symbol. I don't know what that is, but they're doing it there. Oh man. So future. Now I know this is ridiculous to say. Oh, you got any future plans, Chuck? But what do you have any ideas? Anything that you would like? Oh man, that's something that I'm thinking of. I wonder if I'd like to do that.
Not really.
Living it like, enjoying where you are right now, enjoying the success that you're having right now is a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, trying to find that balance, of the right amount of gigs.
Yeah, it's good. I'm looking forward to the 28th. I wanted to ask you, how did you guys line up, Louis, to open for you guys?
The promoter has some experience with Louis, and
Wow.
so yeah.
That was it's just perfect. When I saw that, I went, holy shit. I mean, that's a guy, last time I saw him was at Slim's with the Texas Tornadoes, and Boss Gag still owned the joint, and he came out and jammed with them.
Wow.
Yeah. It was a
That's
great
cool.
night, man. It was a great Texas Tornado show. But that guy's historic. It'll be great to see you guys do it alive again. And if you guys have not brought up the KEXP performance, you guys knock that out of the ballpark.
Well, that's only been out for a few hours, I think.
Yeah, that is something, man. You guys kick it there, man.
Oh, that's cool. I'm happy to hear that.
I had misplaced my live Temple Beautiful, and so I had to get at least one in from. And the recording on that Great American Music Hall show is fantastic, man.
Not bad.
Yeah, I mean, who produced that?
Well, Deanne Franklin recorded it, and Brad Jones mixed it.
Yeah.
And, I guess everybody along the way produced whatever they produced.
Because, I mean, it can't be an easy thing to mix and produce,
Well, I think the big
30 instruments or whatever.
I think the big takeaway was that Brad Jones had done all the string arrangements. And, we did a run through the day before, and then we did the show at the Great American. Wow. With the tape rolling the whole way. So, yeah, a lot of stuff. Things went our way. They don't always go our way, but...
You've had one hell of a career, dude. I mean, and it's just continuing, I don't know, what kind of, I don't know what your sales figures are or anything like that, but it seems like they just keep, you keep getting a bigger audience. Your audience keeps growing because you have, Terry kind of hit on it, where you have this ability to tell a story and project good, positive energy to your audience. And I think that has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, I guess that's the songs,
And just the way you have an energy, the way you're able to be up there. Now, some people can just sing a song. Some people have good songs, but then there's other people that have good songs and can perform them. Oh, your manager just came in. I better let him in.
Oh, Daniel.
Mr. Strickland, come on in, man. I wonder if he'd like to say anything about you at all.
It's unusual for Daniel to be
I want to thank
enjoying
Daniel.
a quiet Friday night here at 9 o'clock.
I want to thank Daniel for putting up with my harassment. So where'd he go? Did he go away? Where'd he go? Where is he? Oh, no, he was here for a minute. I lost him now. Oh, there he is. Dan, unmute yourself.
Hey, how's it going? What did I miss?
Oh, you missed the whole thing. It was all great. He danced, he sang, he did everything. No, I wanted to say thank you to you for, put up with my harassments trying to get this set up over the, last multiple years or whatever.
Did I really miss the show?
Yeah.
Oh man.
We started at 7. What can you give us any insight into this gentleman that maybe
Goodness,
that
please.
we don't know about?
Please.
How long?
Mick, everything's been going so well.
How long have you guys worked together?
We started working together right before pandemic started.
Oh, okay. So it's
Yeah.
pretty recently you've been working together. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been a fan of Chuck's for a long time.
And
We met. Chuck used to be a regular at Peter Buck's festival that he did down in Mexico, the Todos Santos festival.
we were talking about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I met Chuck and Stephanie there, and then we just kept bumping into each other.
Fantastic. We were just somebody in the chat just said, and I'll have to I'll hit Scott McCoy up about this. I know you know these guys. The baseball project should be covering Willie Mays' Up at Bat.
They've talked about it to me.
Really? Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be great. I'd love to see that.
Me too.
They're a fabulous group of people there, boy. Fabulous group of people. So Daniel, anything else you want to say? You want to add to this conversation at all?
I mean, it's been a thrill working with Chuck. This new record is amazing.
Something special. It
really is. And Chuck had a vision, and I've just been along for the wild ride, and seeing people hear these songs for the first time. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah,
it's dance music. It's psychedelic dance music.
Well, I mean, I was just kind of, saying to him that, I don't know what the numbers are or anything, but my prediction is this record takes you guys to another level. This is big, I think. I think this record is huge. You laugh. Go ahead and laugh at me. But I think it's something
I can tell you a lot of things that I think about this record, but Chuck, I'm going to be careful not to speak out of turn, but there was a moment in the studio. So Brad Jones and Matt Weiniger produced this record along with Chuck, and there was a moment when in the recording sessions when Brad said, he goes, "I think this might be Chuck's best record," and it was just in the recording sessions.
Wow.
I don't know if I ever shared that with you, Chuck.
Well, every record gets to have that honor for a while.
Right. You've made a lot of great records too. So
Yeah.
it's like topping. You've done great records. So topping.
I don't know what like the best is or anything, but I do know that there are ways that some records connect more with people than other records, and I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's the marketing or all these
it's everything.
All these random elements that it takes for the planets to line up. But but yeah, there is something about this record that has made people more curious.
Yeah.
And it's also been a 4-year gap between records for me, which is, compared to my usual pace, it's an eternity,
Yeah.
So there's so many elements go into that. We just had a really successful European tour. I don't know. We stayed away for a while. May have had something to do with it. There was an anticipation about this record, some word of mouth. It's just hard to say, Mick. What makes one record?
There's a million little things that come together that make something like that. I started working at KPIG a little over a year ago, and we're playing the shit out of it. We are playing this record a lot. It's getting played quite a bit. KPIG doesn't have a playlist, or it's just that's what makes it even better. Just all the DJs at KPIG like it, and it's getting played a lot.
Well, it's a great station. I mean,
goes around the world. Streams around the world. One of the big streaming radio stations. So you can count on
us. You guys have really helped people like Todd
Schneider,
and Fred Eaglesmith, and so many great artists who've had you've really made that market meaningful.
Yeah, that's important
to people.
It's important for them. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great station. I feel honored that they let me into their little damn club out of the blue. I just kind of walked in there and went, "Hey, can I be a DJ?" And they let me on. So I was just lucky.
That's great.
But they're playing you when we are. I'm playing you a lot too, man. Thank you, Daniel. It was great. I'm glad you showed up and that you got to come in and say something because hey, you're important. You're an important part of the mix. It's nice to meet the manager. I don't get to meet.
I think there were people that when I said I wanted to do a cumbia record, I think that some people were a little, I don't know if nervous is the word, but
they just didn't understand what was going on.
But Daniel was a true believer from the beginning.
That's pretty cool. That's what you need, man. When you guys
connect, it is what you need. It is what you need. You need somebody in your corner that's a true believer because, it's hard enough.
Right. Everybody going, huh? But if your manager is going, yeah, this is a groove that that's gonna work for you. Hey, so cool. Oh man. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Chuck, for being here tonight. I tell you, this has been something that I wanted to talk to you for so long, and it's been fabulous being able to have you here and get your insight into your music and just hang out.
Well, it's been a pleasure.
I'm glad, man, and
it's been full of surprises.
I'm glad. That's what I hope for at KMiC Radio, at least to give somebody some surprises when they come in and put time in to be at KMiC and they get some surprises. Fantastic. Let's see. What would you got any requests you want to go out with?
Something off the new record. Yeah, gee, I don't know.
Red Sky Night.
Yeah, we'll go out with a ballad, I suppose.
Red Sky Night is a great one. Oh, wait. What was that other one?
That sounds good.
You like that one? But when you played on KEXP, you played Same Old Crime today. When I watched that, and I went, I hadn't caught that one yet. That one didn't get me, and it got me today when I heard you.
Oh, good.
That one's a good one too. But we'll play Red Sky Night.
Red Sky Night. I wrote this with Kim Ritchie and Aaron Lee Tashin.
There's somebody that both of them are amazing writers. Aaron's been on the show before.
Oh, great.
And he's something special. You wrote Johnny Thunders with him too, did you?
No, I wrote that with Kurt Lipschutz, pen name of Lipschutz, like so many of my favorite songs.
Right.
I wrote with Kurt.
You wrote hundreds of songs with him.
Probably.
Yeah. But you're not writing with him anymore?
No, we write all the time. Yeah.
So you guys are still writing together.
Yeah. No, I mean not exclusively, but I was in Nashville, and part of my social life is writing, and so I think I finished the tour in Nashville over a year ago, and that was when I got together with Kim and Aaron at Kim's house, and we sat around our kitchen table. We wrote 3 or 4 things.
That's fantastic, man. Good, but what? There's something about you talked about it earlier about the sparks of inspiration, and when you get together with somebody like a Kim Ritchie or an Aaron Lee Tasjan, it must just. I guess you never know. You could just sit there. You could sit down and go, nothing's going to happen. But then, man, I mean, those guys.
Well, I always come to a co-writing session prepared.
There you go.
Because I want to pitch something good. And I want them to like it. And that's especially the case with Kim, who I've always looked up to. So, yeah, I came prepared with something, although I believe that she came up with this title. She had read it somewhere. We didn't know what it meant exactly. I think it was a sailing, good luck. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what it meant, Red Sky Night, but we took it and we ran with it.
Her name keeps popping up. A couple weeks ago, I had Bill Lloyd on. And
great.
He's written a lot with Kim also.
Yeah, well, I think they went to college together in Kentucky.
Yeah.
Bill Lloyd's a great guy, great writer.
Really great.
Foster and Lloyd, yeah.
Good stuff, man. Oh man, Daniel had to turn his camera off because he weeps during that song, and I was getting a little weepy too, Chuck.
All right, well that's
beautiful.
Enough. That's enough of that. I gotta go get a snack.
Thank you, man. Thank you for being here. We love you. See you on the 28th.
You got it.
Appreciate it, man. Take it easy. Oh man. Hey, Daniel, I've been wanting to do this interview for 6 years at least 6 years. I don't know. I think I met him first time at the Makeout Room. Oh God, it's got to be that long ago. But I kept trying. He's just so busy. He's just always so busy. I couldn't get him. Well, we finally did it. Persistence, my friends. This is what it takes in life: is to be persistent, not an asshole. Just be persistent and be kind and keep trying, and your dreams will come true if you keep being persistent. That's all I'll just say. That's all I'll say.